Hello, today we want to talk about the #1 way for college students to take notes across America. It's known as the Cornell note-taking system. And for the typical college classroom, this serves a student very well. I really like it because I believe that it helps bring parity between the right and left hemispheres of the brain. I've even heard it said that right brain, left brain balance is the key to all problem-solving techniques. And as we're trying to get students to think more critically, I think it's a very important tool for students to understand and apply. You can argue whether or not a person is dominant or exclusively dominant in the right or left hemisphere of their brain. That's probably a discussion and a debate for the future. I just am a firm believer, again, that there are strengths and weaknesses that are inherent with people when it comes to how they bring in and process information. The great thing about Cornell is it forces you to work with both your strong and weaker areas. So what you do here is you take a typical notebook paper, and you have the red margin line running from top to bottom. What you want to do is divide the paper from right to left. So about 2 to 2.5 inches from the left margin, just draw a line all the way down the page. What you're going to do is to take your normal notes in class on the right side of the line. Now, I say normal notes. Don't worry about spelling. Don't worry about punctuation. Don't sit there agonizing over whether this should end in a question mark or a period. Don't worry about the grammar. Just get down the key concepts, key ideas. If you focus too much on the mechanics of the notes and how they look, you're probably missing the message. And I've seen some very good students get into class and think that they had to write down everything, that they had to capture everything that the instructor was saying. Well, that's just not a reasonable approach. It's not realistic. Some instructors are going to talk very rapidly. They're not going to stop. They're not going to repeat anything, and they may especially not spell anything. So don't worry about any of that. Just, again, focus on the right side of the line, getting down the key themes, key ideas, key concepts. Don't worry about spelling, punctuation. You can always doctor that up later. Now, we apply the process of reduction just like we do in math. You take what is on the right side, those words, and reduce them to as few words as possible on the left side of the line. This kicks in that hemisphere of the brain that is logical, orderly, step by step. Omit the adjectives, omit the adverbs, use mainly nouns and verbs on the left side of that line. So if we're saying that one hemisphere of the brain likes to bring in information in a broader, creative, pattern-making format, well, heck, we'll capture that on one side of the line. On the other side, we touch on the other hemisphere of the brain that is much more analytical, much more logical. Now, if you need to develop one hemisphere or the other, you're guaranteed that you're doing it by taking notes in this fashion. So again, you divide that paper from right to left, take those notes on the right side, and then more than likely after class, you'll have the opportunity to reduce those words to as few words as possible on the left side. You're trying to bring parity between the two hemispheres of the brain as you are applying it to a given set of information. Some students will extend on this and not just divide the paper from right to left. They'll divide it from top to bottom and do a small little summary at the bottom. And some students will transfer that summary to a set of note cards. That set of note cards will constitute their 5 to 10 minute daily review that we have alluded to in other recordings as it relates to OK4R, SQ3R, and some of those study methods. So again, the core essentials here: divide the paper from right to left, capture your basic set of notes on the right, don't worry about spelling, don't worry about grammar, don't worry about punctuation, reduce what is on the right to as few words as possible on the left, and then, so you may work right to left, and then you also may work top to bottom. I've known some students that have refined this. They've gotten so good with this that they could take 100 pages of notes and reduce them to 10 pages. And let me tell you, when you run into comprehensive final exam scenarios, which you will in college, anytime that you can reduce 100 pages to 10 pages and not lose any quality, you're very well served. So you're working with that 80-20 rule again. 80% of what you're going to need to know is only going to come out of 20% of the material. Cornell note-taking is just one method that helps you achieve that, helps get you there. It's like any other skill. It's like throwing a baseball or riding a bike. The more you refine it, the better you get. I personally feel very strong about this method, have applied it myself as a student. I was never good enough to be able to work the right and left sides of the paper in class. I usually had to wait till after class to work the left side. I've known students that got in, got after it, and could do both. And that would be a great goal for you to have. So I hope this helps. I hope that this adds another tool to your academic toolboxes, all in the name of student success. Thank you.